Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on, good question, January 24th, 2026 at approximately 8 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's calling to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every decision I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into things today, I do want to tip my hat to Storm. He is our primary moderator that hides in the background most of the time, making sure tech runs and keeping a close eye on people coming into the chat room to make sure we don't have any problem children showing up. Now, just to be clear, if you are a problem child, this simply means you didn't read the rules at the top of the chat room or the ones that are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Okay, but rest assured, if you do find yourself outside, when you can come back in the next day, you can still listen, you just can't interact. But the following day, you'll be able to come back in, unless you've done this too often, at which point, sorry guys, but I asked Storm and my other moderators to remove the problem permanently. So if you are consistently a problem, you won't be sticking around. You will still be able to listen. But sorry, I don't even deal with it, which means if you do find yourself outside, you get to contact Storm and explain to him whether or not you're willing to actually behave. Now, we also have in the chat room, we have Kira. Okay, not only is she one of our moderators, she's also my wife, executive assistant, editor-in-chief, and a member of my board of advisors. Needless to say, if she decides somebody's got a problem, she's also there to evict people, if necessary. Okay, now we start scrolling down here and let's see what we got. We have Philip Blair, you are in. I missed something here, I think. Yes, scroll back. I believe Eternity. Eternity guy came in with the gold. How you doing, Eternity? Glad to see you here. And we have Philip Blair in with the silver. Nice to see you again, Philip. I do hope things are going well. Scroll down a little further, and we have Renee Andrews is in with the bronze. How you doing, Renee? It's nice to see you popping in. And that's where we end for the moment. Now,
sorry, Keith, I have to correct you on something. Actually, Philip came in, and then Operation Shutdown came in, and then after that was Renee.
Oh, okay. So I missed somebody, obviously. That unfortunately happens. But I do appreciate the clarification. So this puts Eternity in, and I believe with the gold still.
Yes. Philip still has silver, Operation has bronze, and Renee is honorable mention.
Okay, I appreciate the clarification or the correction, if you will.
Got to keep it straight, right?
It would be an idea. Oh yeah, right. Unfortunately, my mouse scrolls down a little faster than I'd like on occasion, which it's tech, and Storm is a miracle worker in a lot of ways. Rest assured, a few months back, he saved. It took him 4 days, but he saved a lifetime's worth of work. I'm pretty certain you remember pulling that one off, Storm.
Oh, yeah. It was an interesting journey. That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't what we saw from our end.
Yeah. It's what I do. It's what I'm good at. It's what I do. I fix stuff and I know things. Ba-dum-bum.
But I am happy to say my artist that's been working on the covers, in 2 weeks, we'll be starting on cover 4, 5, and 6, and then we'll carry on from there. Now, with that in mind, today we are looking at peaceful revolution. And yes, it is possible to have a revolution peaceably without people yelling at each other, pointing guns and pulling triggers. Okay, we can even avoid it without people getting beaten all over Hex Half Acre with a broom with a purse they tried to snatch. I actually saw that on YouTube one day. Guy tried stealing a purse from about a 70-year-old woman, and she did a maneuver that trapped the guy's wrist, and as she's swinging him over her head, bouncing him off the sidewalk, she's constantly yelling at him to not pick on a poor defenseless old woman. I'm not quite certain where the definition of poor and defenseless came from. And what do we got here? Oh, okay. I've got to get a bigger monitor here. I really do. But when we start looking at peaceful revolution, what we're talking about is changing the way people are by their own volition. We are not talking about trying to overthrow anything. Okay. Except maybe the stability, maybe the discontinuity in your own home. Because when we are talking about a peaceful revolution, we're talking about changing people one person at a time. This is what we are starting here. Okay, or what we started here a long time ago. The thing you got to remember is when I started this journey, I honestly didn't think I'd get more than 3 or 4 viewers at all. Never mind over 700 followers. Okay, let's face it, I'm not the most, shall we say, entertaining individual, and I'm certainly not the most tactful. But what we are finding now is that people are starting to respond. Okay, now, when we start looking at a peaceful revolution, take a look at the society you're part of, and understand, most of you think I'm talking to just the humans out there on YouTube. Understand the off-worlders are listening in to what we're doing. And if you think Big Brother's watching you, you should see how much information the off-worlders are gaining. Okay, but they're watching to see what you're up to as well, because they're looking to see whether or not humans are going to blow yourselves back all the way to the Stone Age, or whether you're actually going to wake up. Now, one of the things we have to remember is if you desire your world to change, you're the one that's going to have to do it. You don't have to stand up and tell everybody what you're up to. Okay, I'm going a little bit more out on a limb here for one simple reason. Okay, and that is, I figure, there were a lot of mistakes made when I was growing up, and I don't mean that just I made them. But if you're striving to change your life and you don't know where to begin or how to begin, how are you going to learn it unless somebody shows you how to do it or you do it the hard way? And I'm not sure about you, but I found that getting somebody else to pave the road and go, look, I've tried these methods, they didn't work. Don't do that. Okay, totally harmless experience I had. Okay, was putting ketchup on ice cream. I strongly recommend you don't do it, but who knows? Maybe you'll like it. So I mean, today I tried something I nearly got slapped for. Bear in mind, my taste buds are a little different. Okay, so I made tuna and scrambled eggs today, and then added honey because it seemed like the thing to do. Worked out well enough in my eyes.
This is not how we do things.
Not bad mixing and giving it to somebody else. But no, when we're looking at a peaceful revolution, you take a look at your home. I'm looking at mine. My office is now, it's now organized where I can actually walk in and go, this is what I'm looking for. This is so much better and so much easier to make sure finances go in the right direction. When we're dealing with the government, okay, with pharmaceuticals, with the big corporations, Here's how you do a peaceful revolution. The big corporations we know are interested in the big dollar. That's just the way it is. Okay, now you can keep supporting them because certainly they're going to get a better deal. They can buy more and they can buy a bigger quantity. And therefore, they give you a break. I'll guarantee they're not giving you as much of a break as you think they are. I've seen it happen with the big grocery chains, the big corporations and what have you. They'll go, "Oh, we've got a great sale on 20% off." Of course, they jack the price by 10 to 15% to start with, and then bring it down, which means you're not getting the break that you're expecting. Okay, where it comes to governmental issue, okay, they will pass laws all over the place. And I do strongly recommend once the law is passed that you do follow it. Because, it's not that I agree with all the laws being put out there. It's that I don't like doing vertical bar time. But you got to remember, there are a number of ways to look at this. The first and foremost is if you start throwing stones or pulling guns or what have you, then the net result is somebody is always going to look for a bigger weapon. As the saying goes, peace through superior firepower. But as it showed you in the Disney movie A Bug's Life, okay, if we all consider ourselves little ants and we consider the big moguls as locusts, okay, one little ant isn't going to do a thing. But you start banding together and you start behaving as a unified group. And yeah, I know that's a challenge and a half because so many of you have been taught that if you're going to change something, you've got to fight. Okay, my father always told me it was better to walk away from a fight than to swing first. Of course, my dad had another little outlook on that, which kind of went sideways on occasion. For him, it worked like a charm. But if you desire a peaceful revolution, it's time to start supporting your local people. It's time to start talking to each other and realize that communication is the key to making things happen. Okay? Because, let's face it. If you don't talk to your neighbor, if you don't talk to the people around you, how are you possibly going to know whether or not they are on the same page you're on? You think about it. I heard it put one day where a stranger is simply a friend you haven't met. Okay. And when we're looking at peaceful revolution, we are talking about non-aggression. And by the way, hate to tell you this, that includes swearing at the person you don't like.
Sorry, real quick, hate to interrupt. Looks like we have a question from Felix. Hi, Felix. I haven't seen you before personally, but Keith, he says he found you on SOR some years ago, and he says that he likes your show. He wants to know if you are still appearing on SOR.
Yes, I am. I'm still there. And thanks so much for that, Kira. Yeah, Felix, I am still on SOR on the first Friday of every month. I missed one a couple of months back because of complications. I think it was technical complications on Dave's part. But I am still there, and we're not looking at ending it anytime soon. In all fairness, I was just asking about it. I was just asking about that a little while ago. Plus, a bonus on that one, with the Caribou Con, which is coming up in September, I will be up there speaking. I got an invite a couple of months back to make sure I was going to be coming up there. Now, you'll have to go to Spaced Out Radio, because I don't know the timing for it exactly. I know it's sometime in mid-September. But I honestly don't know the exact time. But yeah, I'm still planning on being there. And I guess that means, let me just see here. Go back there. That means we will be there on February 6th, which will be the first Friday in February. Yeah, so that is still an ongoing thing, and who knows whether it'll be 2 or 3 hours. Sometimes I run longer, depending on Dave. But yeah, I'm still definitely there. And yeah, just a quick comment to people, and this is why I put it this way. And this is why I've got the extra eyesight now, which is really neat when you think the extra eyesight is actually blind as they get. But this is why I say when you've got a question, put your questions in full, in block caps so I can find them. And what do we got here?
Looks like Woo Rider has entered. He says hello. They say hello. My apologies, Woo, if I've misjudged your gender there. Sorry.
No, Woo's been around for a very long time. How's it going, Woo? What have we got here? I'm telling you, I would love to be able to read. The good news is I've actually got my glasses being checked at the end of February.
It looks like we've got another newcomer. It's the last message. They're another fan from SOR.
Who do we got? Oh, Web Stacker? Yeah.
I don't know this person myself, so I'm not sure who's new.
I actually haven't seen Web before. Samo, how you doing? Samo is another one of our moderators that is thankfully popping in quite regularly now. Yeah, we'll go over 4 years. Yeah. Yeah, you've been here for a while. One of the nice things about the whole thing, I've talked to a number of different show hosts, and I will tell you, the fact I've been with Dave for 10 years now is remarkable given the way my mouth works. But boy, when it comes to running a talk show, does he ever seem to run head and shoulders above others. Skip, how we doing? Glad you could join us. Now, here's the thing with the peaceful revolution. Okay, we are starting slowly, but we are growing. And we are going to continue to grow. I got told by a marketing specialist that I wasn't even monetized yet after 3 years. And yet last year, through just the minimal advertising I've been doing, we managed to bring in shy of $3,000. I don't know about you, but this means we're actually making headway. We are actually monetized in my eyes, but it's monetized through effort, not just somebody handing things out. Now, just want to make sure I don't miss anything here. The thing is, when you start dealing with people on an equal basis, when you start dealing with people in an equal fashion, what you're looking at is people will start to talk to you and treat you as an equal as well. All we're looking at is the idea that, this isn't all we're looking at, but when you start looking at changing society, it is not done. It is not actually begun in Parliament or in the governmental body of your choice. It begins in the single home. You desire this society to shift. In any society, any species, you started on the home front. It will cause a ripple effect around the world. Now, you don't have to believe me on this one. Do your own research. And yes, we are looking into shirts to that effect as well, amongst a number of other things. Don't like the way that looks. One of the things we have to remember is revolution does not mean violence. It means change. Okay. I mean, let's face it. You get a tire that is going through revolutions. It doesn't blow up every time it gets to the bottom end. Okay, that usually takes a special kind of wrong. But The other thing that we have to look at is you have to ask yourself one question. Are you content with the world you've got access to right now? Kitty Cat, how we doing? Glad you could join us. This is amazing. What we got? We got 11 in here now. I would love to be able to say that we got thousands coming in, but thus far not happening. Give it time. What do we got? Oh, did I say that backwards? My apologies there, Philip. I've tried to getting a $3,000 bill. I usually get bigger ones. But no, last year we earned just shy of $3,000. Meaning we earned somewhere, now what was it? I actually did the calculations at one point. So, if we go and kill all that off. Meaning we brought in around about $250 a month, which means because of the support I've been getting from you guys and the, between the book sales and the consulting that's been going on, it means essentially last year, about two-thirds, almost three-quarters of our household grocery bill, we actually earned the money to deal with. The nice little thing about it is when we start looking at changing the way things are, I'm laying them out for people. I'm walking people through it one step at a time because this is the path I'm following. And simply put, it's working. Skip, I can understand that. We can't start a fire here. I could technically turn up the thermostat, but, one of the things I look at with a peaceful revolution is the emphasis has to be on peaceful. Okay? Screaming at people does not bring a sense of quiet. Okay? And in all fairness, war has never brought peace. It does on occasion bring quiet, at least for a short period. Okay. Now, what do we got here?
Wu was just pointing out that YouTube takes 30% of the donations and things that come in if you're monetized.
Well, I appreciate the heads up, Wu, because from my standpoint, that simply means we don't rely on them. Okay, we're still pushing. Like, if you go to the top of the stream, you'll find a link to buymeacoffee.com/InnerVoiceJ. There, they only keep about 10% of what we actually sell. Okay. And of course, if you're dealing directly with me, which simply means get a hold of me through email, okay, some of you already have my number. If it's going straight to my bank, then honestly, I get all of it. Well, Karen and I get all of it because we happen to be a family. That's just depressing. Who's going 78 degrees here tomorrow? I don't even know what ours is. I'm curious though. What we got going on tomorrow?
I'm really jealous of your temperature, Lou. That's not fair.
Well, tomorrow we should be hitting about 30.
Yeah, not.
Well, hey, I didn't say I was going out. The thing is, if we're looking at a peaceful revolution, we have to start as a society looking at how do we help each other, okay, in spite of what's being put out there. Now, I will tell you, there are things that have happened in different society, in different species. The Sarkon, for instance, are a reptilian race that ended up fathering 3 other races: the Kamalians, the Kamalians, the Sasazians, and the Tormanon. Okay, it was done peaceably. They simply said, look, we've got to let you grow on your own. And so what they did was they set them all in motion. Before they cut them loose. Now the neat part about it is here we have an opportunity right in the palm of our hands. Okay, you can actually take the money you've got and start to make headway with it, in spite of what the governments and the moguls are doing. Okay, this is why I'm walking you through what I'm doing with it. Because the fact of the matter is, if you work together, we can actually turn this around. I mean, think about it. Any major city, let's take an average city of 100,000 people. You may have 5,000 working directly for the government. So you got 5,000 people making laws and deciding how your life is going to go. Here's the kicker. There are 95,000 of you that can decide whether or not you agree with it. However, remember the thing about peaceful. It simply means follow the law, but don't don't turn around and do everything that's going to cost you more than you can afford. And yes, I even know some churches that claim to be working to help the poor, to help the poor and help the sick. And yet they're demanding ahead of you, before you even get the money to go home. They're demanding a percentage of your gross income. Now, to me, this is just bizarre. And it's not that they're asking for it, it's that so many people are giving it to them. When we're looking at a peaceful revolution, I look at the laws that are out there and go, okay, these laws have to be followed because I don't feel like doing vertical bar time. What we got? Jeff, you're absolutely right. I do. But you got to realize, and I'll give you a real short story on this one. When I was 5 years old, the Canadian military terminated me, or at least tried. It was the Strazazians that hacked me on the base that saved my neck. Literally pulled me out of the situation, got me medical treatment, and then set me back in the morgue, which was really cute, but that was the predecessor to my walking out of the morgue. So yeah, I've absolutely got an affinity for them. One of my best friends is a Strazazian. Of course, you got to remember, when I say I've got friends in high places, I'm referring to them being in orbit. That's the thing. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things that Strazazians do that I can't stomach. Not the least of which is eat their own kin. Now granted, they wait till they're dead, but it's still a little beyond my palate. The fact of the matter is, I don't actually hold anything against any of the species. And you got it, humans included. I do feel there are a lot of really dense things being done that can be modified. The book, and I appreciate that there, Jeff. If you go to if you're to get any of the books I've written, you go to the link at the top of the page, buymeacoffee.com/innervoicej. You can either get the hard copy book, which once it's paid for, it takes me, I give myself 3 business days to get it out the door. Okay. Or you can get the PDF. Okay. Now, yes, it's more expensive for the hard copy because, politely put, I can't afford the shipping of it. Yes. Now, that's what that's for. Yeah, honestly, I remember my past lives. This particular Strazazian that saved my bacon, frankly, I rescued her when she was a hatchling. Okay, but we're talking in my last life. Because this lifetime, let's face it, I was only born in 1963. I rescued her back in 1947. Okay, but she remembered me when she came across me. And it was her actions that ended up saving my neck. Or more to the point, piecing it back together. But that's a very long, drawn out process. Okay, there are a number of other species I deal with. Matter of fact, in Races of the World, I've actually detailed 60 different races I deal with, and I've got another 100 or another 60 some odd that I've got in Volume 2. Actually, that'll be between Volume 2 and 3, and it just keeps getting bigger. So I'm doing what I can to get them out. Now, the nice part about it, again, right? A peaceful revolution. One of the reasons I'm writing these books is to, one of the reasons I'm writing these books is because of the fact that the more you know of them, okay, and I'm talking the general population, you will always find people that are problematic. Every species has them. What do we got? Oh, there you go. I do believe, Kara, that is one for you.
Okay, let me just have a look because I was typing. Hold on a second.
From who?
Oh, yeah, I just saw that question. So you're asking what my overall thoughts are and beliefs on which phenomenon in particular? Keith, do you have?
On the issue of, I suspect anyway, the interactions with the off-worlders and where we're standing with them.
Oh, okay, yeah, and if we're mistaken on that one, let us know. I personally, it's kind of interesting. When I first connected with Keith, I was pretty skeptical on his connections and, well, the whole off-worlder idea in general. Because I was taught to be very logical and, okay, let's not let our imaginations get away with it. But, it's because of the things that I've experienced. No, I haven't been abducted, but I've seen a lot of my own memories surface through dreamscapes and things like that. I personally, I believe that he has had a lot of connections. I kind of am envious of him actually. But yeah, so like I think sometimes I feel a little bit what's the word? Astounded isn't the right word, but I have a hard time comprehending sometimes just what he's been through because it's so over the top. And sometimes I question, and if something doesn't add up, I'll ask him, hey, this doesn't make sense to me. Can you explain this particular thing? And why doesn't it add up? And he's very good with explaining things and remains consistent enough that I can actually, it helps me logically wrap my head around things. And it's kind of fascinating to me personally. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I was just looking a little further down. What was just Philip rather, was just adding that they were talking about the phenomenon of the nature of UFOs.
Yeah. Okay. Like there's still part of me that questions, right? But I am very curious myself and wouldn't mind a bit more concrete proof, I guess. I don't think I'd go so far as to say that I want to be abducted, but I wouldn't mind contact, But that's we are where we are, and we work with what we've got. So
yeah, abduction is, let's just say, not something I recommend for anybody. I remember talking to one person that told me they wanted to find the lair of lichen. In layman's terms, find the lair of a werewolf and follow it in uninvited. And I'm thinking that's just suicide. Because I mean, I'm walking into a carnivore's den and sitting down on their table. One of the nice things about it is what we got here? Going back. Just taking a look up a little further to see if I missed anything. You know, the one thing I do look at when we start looking at revolution, it literally boils down to change. But the term revolution usually gets used to indicate a violent turnover. I'm a firm believer that why have the violence if you don't have to? Okay, and yeah, with the amount of greed and what have you that's running through this world, I will tell you there's a staggering amount of it. But there is way more peace on this world than there is fighting. Yeah. Phelps goes, I don't want to be abducted, but a friendly, non-intrusive visitation would be super cool.
Yeah, totally. Right?
I absolutely agree with you. You know, one of the biggest things I look at where this whole thing of revolution is literally speaking, if you take a look at it, when you look at revolution, it shows things going around in circles, which is great. But if you've got a big enough circle, you're not going to notice yourself come back unless you do something stupid, i.e., let's have another world war and blow the place back to the Stone Age again. There's a wonderful idea. Not unheard of. It's been done before. So how about if we don't? What do you think? But by talking to the people around you, it will get to the bigger companies. Now, the sad part is, with the bigger companies, the ones that are in apparent control right now, Jeff, if things go the way they are right now, and Jeff is just asking, he goes, without going into the political side, what will the world in 10 to 20 years from now be? If it follows its current path, we have an interesting problem. Okay, because if it follows its current path, you're looking at in under 20 years, you're looking at having to clean up the mess that is already brewing. However, 10 to 20 years, we got a lot of room to work. And if we do our job right here and many other sites I know of, okay, that are trying to get people moving in the right direction, if mankind decides, okay, enough of this stuff of let's talk and play about war and what have you, if you start working together, we could be seeing such neat little things as literally the starting of a one world government. And I don't mean a dictatorship. Okay. What we're looking at is you could have some of the best technological advances available. Like, these are just a couple of things I know exist that have been buried. Okay. I know because I talked to the inventor. I know of a method of oil extraction from the Athabascan tar sands. Put whatever tar sands you want in place. The process takes a cup of tar-soaked oil, dumps out about just shy of 3/4 of a cup of crude oil, just shy of a 1/4 cup of potable oil, or potable water. Sorry, my apologies. The cup gives you about 3/4 of a cup of sandbox fresh sand that you can let your kids play in. About a 1/4 cup of crude oil. And the only difference you get, the only bleed off is about a 1/4 cup of potable water. This means it could be turned around if people start working with the processes. There's also already in existence an engine that runs on tap water. Now, don't take my word for it. Do your own research, but I will tell you, these items have been buried. Okay. But yes, if we start turning around and actually working together, okay, when we start working together, you could very conceivably have a world where people don't worry about skin color. There will be people that still do. Okay, I mean, let's face it. We got people that still believe the world's flat. Okay. Of course, those same people will tell you every other planet in the solar system is round. And my eldest son one day looks at me, and at the time he was only like 8. He looks at me and he goes, Dad, why would people think that one planet was square or was flat, where all the rest of them are round? I said, good question. I like it. Yeah. Philip goes, that's why you gotta love thy neighbor. And family is chosen. Yeah, I do agree. I really do agree, Philip, that family, that blood is thicker than water. Okay, I took chemistry, I took biology, but I will tell you, it also is sticky. Uh-oh. And Skip's just, no. Phelps going, sandbox of fresh sand would be for our four-legged roommates. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they will absolutely appreciate it. But when we look at a peaceful revolution, we are talking about voicing your concerns in a positive fashion. And you'll love this one. When you start dealing with things, if you deal with the local businesses, okay, on the whole, yes, the bigger companies can get you a better price, okay, but the local ones are the ones that keep the money in the neighborhood. They're also the ones that keep your neighbors working. This is why most of what I do is I shop with the locals, simply because of the fact it works. Okay, but what we've got to remember, okay, is that if everybody keeps turning around and going, I want it I want to get it quicker, I want it instantaneous. Okay, the fact of the matter is, the hope is you're not dying tomorrow. Rest assured, I've done that often enough to tell you it doesn't solve a lot. Oh, I appreciate that there, Philip. The sad reality, like I said, I can't read much of what I'm seeing on the computer right now. I'm in the middle of aiming to rectify that, but it's going to take a little bit of time because these just about don't do me much good at all anymore. I guess in a sense, it's a good thing I'm not driving. Although, better me driving with my eyesight poor than Kira driving with her eyesight non-existent.
Although that might be entertaining in some fashion. I just don't think I'm interested.
Well, you wouldn't see them coming.
Oh, well. That's true.
One of the other things where we're talking about peaceful, running people down, and I don't mean vehicularly speaking, although that's bad too, but talking down about people and blaming, for instance, we had somebody in here probably a year ago now that really took a hate on and started yelling at the moderators and calling them bullies. But that was because, number one, the person in question was breaking every rule we had in the book and figured they shouldn't be punished for it. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't care what societal level people are at. I look at it going, as the saying goes, if you did the crime, you do the time. Okay? So I don't separate people. I just look at them and go, you're all equal. Because every one of the people out there, including the politicians and the moguls, okay, they are all necessary components of a well-balanced society. Fact is, a lot of them are giving you the opportunity to, shall we say, make poor choices. You're still the one that's got to make the choices. And the first revolution you got to look at is look in the mirror. Are you content? Do you like the way you're handling your life? Not necessarily do you like the money you're making. Okay. But are you content with the way your reactions are to your life and what you're doing? Okay. The other thing we have to look at, is that when we are dealing with people, we have to realize people on the whole for the last literally several hundred generations have been being taught how to be, what's the word I'm looking for? How to not take responsibility. It's not my fault, it's somebody else's fault. We've been taught for centuries to point the finger at the lawmakers. Let us not forget that unless people stand up and say this is not acceptable, they'll keep doing what they will. Yeah, Phil goes, I can drive a car too, but I prefer to be a passenger. So it's safe for my mind to wander. Yeah, that's a good point. I like the one I came across a while ago. I'd like to die peaceably in my sleep like my grandmother did, not screaming in terror like the passengers in her car. Now, to be fair, my grandmother passed peaceably in her sleep, but she was at home. But you do get the idea. And one of the things, how to blame away. That's easy. It's not my fault. I'm in financial trouble because, I didn't get the money that belonged to me. Well, that is partly true, but it was my own spending that created my own problems. Okay. Granted, I trusted people I never should have. Sad to say, but I'm the one that chose to trust them. Okay. Now, the thing we have to look at, if you're going to change your life, first question you got to decide on is, are you content with the way it is? What do we got here? I'm just looking. Phil's just made a comment here. He says, awesome t-shirt. And I missed which t-shirt we were referring to. One of the things I have to look at is when we look at the way society is. If we all continue to buy into the concepts we're being taught, then we are just as guilty as the people that are causing them. Okay, one thing I will tell you, down the road, as Inner Voice, my company, evolves, we will be donating money to charity. But understand, that charity will be coming out of our net profit. I want, whether or not I open an actual charity, that remains to be seen. But I will tell you, any company, and I made this comment the other day, you want a peaceful revolution, understand when a company is making charitable donations and they're getting a tax break, this is not charity. The charity is a means to get the tax break. Takes away the whole idea of it being for the betterment of whoever. Okay. But the reason I say peaceful is you'll notice I never point the fingers at any one given company when I'm dealing with public output. Oh, yes. I saw that one. I don't know if it's copyrighted or not. We don't actually have that one. I am looking at a few, and I will tell you, once we get them on the market, they'll hit the buy me a coffee link as well. And then we'll see what happens. Because it really boils down to an issue of figuring things out. But the reality is, I never put a lot of weight into t-shirts for the longest time. And I figure if somebody else uses the same saying, so be it. But we are looking at that. Much more importantly, we are looking at showing people exactly how I'm taking my life. That sounds really bad. I'm not about to take my life. Okay. I've died often enough. I don't need to try the suicide thing to see if that's any different. Uh-oh, that's that 4-letter word again. No, there are words that for some reason people have said, oh, you can't say that.
Oh, I know.
I'm like, sure I can. I just did. You know. Where are we? Just checking to see. Oh, look at that. We are down to 10 minutes here, it looks like.
Just barely.
So, you know, the thing is, with this stream, I am doing my level best to lead by example, which is why I talk about what I'm doing to change things. Okay? And, you know, you're welcome absolutely to follow suit. This is why I'm putting little booklets together. The little booklets, the self-help booklets I put together, okay, are literally designed so you can see how to do it. I don't put testimonials in them. I don't see the point. Okay, do your own research, get your own testimonial. I have no idea how to pronounce that because I can't quite see it. What is that? Oh.
So I think it's a place in Denmark.
Yeah, Extrabelde. In Denmark. You know, one of the things that I got to look at is, you know, I tell people consistently, and of course, Kira did bring this to my attention, that, you know, you guys may not know what treating people or treating all people the same is. So we will be covering that down the road. But let me just double check, make sure I got the right info because we're under 10 here.
Just tossing on a quick shout out to Blue Cruz who says hello.
Hey Blue, how we doing? Glad you could join us. Where are we? We are on, tomorrow is Sunday. Oh, look at that. This is something, and I did not mark down who requested it. But tomorrow, when we come back, we are going to be dealing with life after death. Not the near-death experience, but what happens when you get over there. Okay, do you have to worry about it, etc., etc.? But that will be tomorrow, and I should have checked that out. Okay, then on Monday, we will be looking at the art of debt freedom. Then on Tuesday, we're going to start taking a look at your home is your self-image. Okay, and then of course I go into my weekend. But that's what we're up to. The one thing I do want to make absolutely certain you realize is we can make this world a better world for virtually everybody, but it's going to take work. You know, I mean, I get, you know, I really appreciate you even coming in there, Blue. You know, even at the tail end, it does help me see what I'm actually doing. And yes, I have questioned for years whether what I am doing is helping. But I keep getting reassured by people out there that it is. So I'm not stopping. Okay, I'm also not altering the format very much.
Oh, sorry. Just a quick
Fire.
note. It was Operation that requested the life after death topic.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Operation. And like I said, this is why I don't block things out more than a week or so in advance. Okay, and I did make the note for myself that when I get a suggestion from somebody, I'm just going to mark down who it is so I can give credit at the time. But that's the one we will be dealing with tomorrow. Okay, and like I said, we are not talking about near death. We are talking about the full step over. And I'm one of the few that can honestly say it wasn't near. I was dead long enough to get from the hospital to the morgue. This gives me a little bit of an insight that many people don't make it that far. Honestly, I'm really happy for them that don't, because it really messes up your outlook. Ouch. Oh, there we are. Ekstrabladet is a Danish tabloid newspaper published by, what? JP, that rolled down. Pelicans in Copenhagen. Oh, and that's a claim from Wikipedia. You know, the nice part about all of this is we are going to succeed in changing the world. Okay, I know this for a certainty. I know we're on the right path. And the only thing I can suggest is jump on board and let's work together and make this happen. You know, it's not too late yet, but if we leave it much longer, it could well be. With all this in mind, I do want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Okay, look forward to seeing you again in the very near future. So until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.